New class alert. Please, we got a new class upcoming. Who are the allies of Allah and the allies of Shaytan? Taught by Ustad Layla Nashiba. I know you're not going to want to miss this. So please stay tuned, okay? Streaming on all major platforms. Channel Sunnahfollowers. Faithful friend or enemy.
Before I begin, I like to talk, just make, yes, for the new sister here, the new Shahada who had come to us about her situation this weekend. And I want to reiterate with the new Shahada women, you know, once you convert to Islam, you need to focus on learning your religion. Don't get caught up in the politics of this religion, and relationship shouldn't be on your mind at first. In my opinion, you sisters need to stick with learning the basics of your religion, trying to develop your relationship with Allah. But for the new sister that ended up in a bad situation, she converted to Islam here, the sister from the Reddit channel. I know you've been trying to reach me all day, and I just looked at my phone really and see that you text me a couple of times. I did talk with the imam that I referred you to. Mm-hmm. He took care of it. Alhamdulillah, she got her kula. In other words, her woman-initiated divorce. Yes. Alhamdulillah. So, you know, for the rest of the new sisters, especially from that Reddit group, y'all be careful. Don't be jumping up and down trying to get laid and paid when you don't even know the rules of marriage, and you end up like she was in a terrible situation. Some man married her. The marriage wasn't even legal. Mm-hmm. You have to know the conditions of a valid marriage and all of that. You know, like I've been trying to teach you guys, Allah has set the rules, the guidelines in effect for us and how to do everything. There's rules as to how to pray, rules how to fast, rules how to get married, and all of that. You know, so when you convert to this religion, you have to learn the basics. And before you embark upon any new way of life, you have to sit with the people of knowledge to learn what are the rules and regulations, so you don't end up like she was in a bad situation, whereas basically, you know, she married some old man who had 3 other wives, and she was nothing but a mattress. But alhamdulillah, I sent her to I knew an imam in the city she's in. She went to that mosque, and he's an Egyptian brother, and he gave her kula, and come to find out the marriage wasn't even valid. Okay, so be careful. So how do you feel now, sister? Okay, she says she feels so much better because she felt used, abused, and dirty. Yes, you know, and I'm glad that you understand that that's not Islam. And this is why we have a high apostasy rate, you know, because it's quick to blame it on Islam. When it's not Islam, you blame it on the bad people that's a part of that call themselves Muslims. But alhamdulillah, you see that our way of life is good and clean, that was not the way Islam said it's supposed to be. And so alhamdulillah, you're out of that situation. Don't put yourself in another one. Yes. Okay, the imam told me that the imam I sent you to told me that he told you to just start coming to that community, and he's hooked you up with a few sisters, right? His wife is one that's going to teach you the Fatiha. Mashallah. Yeah, you learn the basics of religion from the sisters and stay away from these men that's trying to get laid and paid. Astaghfirullah. All right, let's get started. And I know my internet is kind of laggy. I should have probably rebooted my server before I started because I didn't reboot and the cat's doing their thing. But anyway, let's get started. This is our Aqidah class, and we've been speaking about the allies of Allah and the allies of Shaytan. Tonight, what we're going to do is speak about the so-called miracles. First of all, miracles only happen unless Allah allows them, and only Allah creates miracles. But Shaytan uses trickery and deceit. Allah allows Shaytan. And I want you guys to understand that. Like we talked about yesterday, nothing happens in this world unless Allah wills it. Even Shaytan can't do what he does unless Allah allows it. Okay, well, Allah allows Shaytan to use trickery and deception to make his allies think that they're miracles. And that's what we're going to speak about today. And before I get into the trickery and the deception and the techniques that Iblis uses, I'm going to give you guys a quiz from yesterday, because I didn't give you a quiz because we had another class. So I told you guys I would save that quiz for today. Let me load up my PowerPoint on my other computer. There it is. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Did you study? MashaAllah. Good job. And by the way, the kids are here too. So please make sure that you guys have me on your big screen TV. I hope y'all caught the Black Friday deals. 55-inch TVs for $200. Can't beat that. Somewhere 150. Put me up on the big screen TV so the kids can see it and they can participate. And parents, please take screenshots of my PowerPoint so that you can print them out at the end of the class and staple them together like a booklet for the kids and yourselves to review. Now, we spoke about how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that every nation of people has its fire worshipers, or in other words, people who say that they believe in Allah, but in reality, they don't. And the fire worshipers of our nation of Muslims are those who claim to be Muslim, but they don't believe in or accept the decree of Allah. So we spent the past 2 days speaking about the qadr, or the decree of Allah, and I've given you examples as to how y'all can look around at the Muslims in the world today and see that most Muslims really do not believe in the decree of Allah. They don't believe that Allah is the creator of everything. They don't believe that Allah is in control. That's one of his names, the controller. Allah is in control. Nothing happens unless Allah wills it, unless Allah makes it happen, or Allah wants it to happen. So I got 3 or 4 questions just to see how well you guys understood what we spoke about. And these are scenarios. Wa alaikum salam, Brother Ahmed. And Brother Ahmed, wa alaikum salam, it's good to see you here. Let me look at this. There he is. There's Brother Ahmed. Brother Ahmed, I want you to answer this question for me. Look at the first question, Brother Ahmed. Abdul feels that he is a failure. He looks at himself as being a failure because he could not make his parents convert to Islam. So this brother feels bad. He thinks he's a failure. He thinks that he's going to be punished and that, he's a bad person because he couldn't make his parents to take Shahada. What would you say to him, Brother Ahmed? Based on what I've talked about, what would you say to Brother Abdul, who's basically beating himself up because he couldn't make his parents convert to Islam? What advice would you give to Abdul, Brother Ahmed? Let's see what Brother Ahmed has to say. And while Brother Ahmed's typing his answer, Brother Tajri, wa alaikum salam, what advice would you give to Abdul, Brother Tajri? Because we come upon a lot of Muslims who feel this way. What would you say to a person? They feel so bad. They feel like a failure because they tried and tried and tried, but couldn't make their parents become Muslim. What would you say to them to make them not beat themselves up, Brother Tajri? So we got Brother Ahmed and Brother Tajri typing their answers, inshallah. Brother Edward, go ahead. You can type yours too. Yeah, you can answer. Type your question too. Your answer too. Let's start with the brothers today. Brother Ahmed, Tajri, and Edward. See what they type. Okay, Brother Ahmed said that Abdul feels so bad because he couldn't make his parents Muslim. Ahmed would say to him, just make dua. Just make dua for Allah to guide him. That's what Ahmed would say. Okay, Brother Tajri, what you typing? And while Tajri and them are typing their answer, who would like to try to answer in the Zoom room? Do I have any new shahadas in there? Because I can't see the screen. Sister Nia, what would you say if you're here? Is Nia there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. I would tell Brother Abdul to still definitely to make dua, and to be a good example, be a good Muslim example for his family, because seeing a good Muslim example can change their hearts maybe. And also show them your religion, not just tell them. Show them your religion.
Okay, same type of answer. And Brother Edward is typing the same thing too. Anybody else in my Zoom room? Abdul feels like he's a failure because he could not make his parents convert to Islam. What would anyone else say about that in my Zoom room? Same.
Oh, and then also on top of that, I would also tell him, if his parents didn't, fall under the fold of Islam, they had their chance too.
Okay.
But they had their chance and they didn't do it. So, there's not, much that he can do. If they're passed away, he can't pray for them.
Okay. And Lucy said that it's a trick from Shaytan. There's no forcing this religion. He wasn't trying to force. Okay, this is what the problem that we have when we come upon scenarios like this. And how many of you see Muslims on TV, on YouTube? They put these dawah booths up. They sitting on the corner of the street like the Jehovah's Witnesses, arguing and debating with the people, trying to force Islam down upon them. Anyone else? What would you say from the Zoom room?
I tell them that.
What I would say.
Go ahead, Latifa.
Okay. What I would tell them that is that you can't have any control over the decree of Allah, and that only Allah makes Muslims. And the best thing, like everyone else said, make dua for them, lead by example, show them the good that there is in the religion, and hopefully Allah will. You hope and pray through the dua that Allah will, open their heart and let them see the true religion.
Excellent. That's the thing y'all left out. And that's what a lot of Muslims don't understand. You and I, we don't have the power to make anyone Muslim. I can sit here and preach about Islam like I do all day, every day. But Allah is the one that controls the heart of man, not you or me. It's not your job or my job to make anyone do anything, because we don't have that power or authority. All we can do is, like you guys said, we can make dua, we can show through our example and all that, but beating yourself up, feeling like you are a failure. Why do you feel like you a failure? That ain't the power. The power is with Allah, not with you. And that's what men and women don't understand. This is part of the decree of Allah. Allah's will relates to his making. Nothing's going to happen unless Allah makes it happen. Everybody understand that? So that's why you will hear people like myself, and I was listening, I'm going to tell y'all why I'm speaking about this. I was listening to some other famous speaker. This person was talking about Gaza. And he was saying, all you Muslims do is make dua. Are you crazy? That's all we can do. We don't have the power. We don't have the authority. First of all, Allah. What's happening in Gaza is happening because Allah willed it to happen. He made it happen. He wanted it to happen. And there's nothing you can do to stop what Allah has willed to be. And then for the person to say, no one's doing anything, we don't have the power. We don't have the authority. If all mankind were to come together, they wouldn't be able to lift a finger. This is why I tell y'all, be careful of the people y'all listen to. Because a lot of these Muslims who are speakers and popular on the internet, they don't understand the basics. We're living in the days of the Ruwaybida. People that got a lot to say about politics. They can scream and holler and shout and cry about war and politics. But they don't understand the basics that Allah is in control. That there's nothing that you or I can do to prevent what Allah has decreed to be. All we can do is make dua. And we're supposed to check ourselves, to ask ourselves, what are we doing to cause this? And then make the corrections. But to sit there and think that man can make anything happen, that is not a person that understands the decree of Allah. Y'all understand that? So don't beat yourself up because you couldn't make somebody practice Islam. A lot of us have children. We raise our kids to be Muslim. But once they become an adult, they take their own direction. You can't make them do anything. All we can do is guide them. All we can do is teach them. All we can do is advise them. But they're going to take on their own path because Allah is the one that controls the heart of man, not us. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make that horse drink. Only Allah can make the horse drink. Everybody understand that? Okay, so I want y'all to understand that you can't make nothing happen. You can't make the war go away. You can't make the war start. You can't make somebody die. You can't make somebody live. You can't make somebody convert. You can't make nobody love you. Allah has that power. Okay? What about this, guys? Imam Sensei believes that some of the laws of Allah can be tweaked due to the era that we are living in. For example, he says shaking hands is nothing personal, but instead it's a way of greeting others. And the Prophet said the best of Muslims are those who greet whom they know and those whom they know not. So it's okay to shake hands, to introduce yourself, even if the person is not a mahram to you. What would you guys say about that? What would you guys say about that?
I would say that this is wrong. This is not what Allah has ordained for the believers. You cannot tweak Allah's laws. One, I would stop speaking. I would stop listening to this person. And this is just wrong to think that they could change the ways and laws of Allah.
Okay, that's good. And how does that relate to Allah's decree? Allah made the laws, right?
He made the laws. So, Allah is the one. We have to believe in the qadar of Allah. Whatever he says is going to happen, or what is going to go forward is what should be going forward. We as creation don't have a hand in that. So that's how I feel about that.
That's good. And what about this, guys? You hear a lot of, just like with the voting, you hear a lot of Muslims say, well, Allah made that law, but this is America. And in America, this is the land of the infidel. I hate that term. I don't want to ever hear any of y'all use that term, infidel, because that's a terrorist term. It really is. It's not the way we speak English nowadays anyway. And when you hear people use that infidel term, that's a terroristic term. But you have a lot of Muslims that say, well, we live in a non-Muslim land. I had to have my groceries delivered. I'm making steak tonight. I'm going to have steak and salad. Okay, but anyway, you will hear some Muslims say, because we live in a non-Muslim land, it's part of the custom here, for example, to shake hands. If you don't shake hands, you ain't going to get a job, which ain't true. Or because we live in a non-Muslim land, even though Allah said it's haram to vote for kafirs as leaders, this is a non-Muslim land, so we can do it. We can disobey Allah. Because this is a non-Muslim land, we can do interest. Because it's a non-Muslim land, we can even sell drugs. They say all kind of stupid stuff like that. And then they'll say that Allah's laws, this is 2024. Allah made that law about shaking hands in the 6th century. This is 2024. Allah made that law about not voting for non-Muslims in the 6th century. This is 2024. So how would y'all address it based on that? And how it relates to the decree of Allah. That's part of Allah's decree, is his making of laws.
Well, I would address it as Allah knows what we don't know, and he knows his creation. So he had ordained specific laws for us, for our deen, that we as Muslims and believers should implement, and he knows best for us. We also have to understand that we have to go by al-wala wal-bara. We understand, hey, these are the things that are implemented in this land, but Allah made us. We have to go by what He says, and we know what we have to stay away from. So you're not commanded to go and shake someone's hand or whatnot, because Allah showed us what is best for us and what could keep us away from Him and earning His pleasure. So we have to understand the world is spacious also. If you feel like this land, hey, that this is the haram, you know what I'm saying? Go somewhere else where you could implement something that's positive and what's good for your deen. So, I mean, there's so many excuses coming up. And I mean, what do you want to get? You want to get are you working for the hereafter for the hellfire, or are you working for the opposite?
Okay, but what? Yeah, that's your answer is good. But how does it relate to the qadr of Allah? Allah made these laws back in the 6th century. You're saying that because this is 2024, we can tweak them, we can change them. Because it's 2024, something's wrong. So what are you basically saying about Allah and His laws and His decree?
You're basically saying that He's wrong. He doesn't know what He's talking about. That you can change what He already said no to.
Yeah, that too. And also,
He doesn't see the future. They're saying that He doesn't see the future.
Exactly. You're saying that Allah made a mistake. That Allah doesn't know everything. See how it all relates to Him, His names, His attributes. You saying that when Allah made the law about not voting for non-Muslims, when He made the law about not shaking hands with the opposite sex, He didn't know that in 2024, people would live, there would be non-Muslim lands. There were non-Muslim lands back in the 6th century too. There was no Islamic state. Medina was the first Islamic state. Okay, but it didn't become that for a while. The Prophet lived amongst non-Muslims. Okay, so we think we have to understand, guys, when it comes to Allah's decree, that Allah's laws are for our betterment. No man, no woman, no jinn can come up with a law for the people that's better than Allah's, that's more just than Allah's. Allah knows what's best for His creation. He knows what's just. To think that your way of tweaking Allah's laws will make Allah's more just, that means, guess what, guys? You have denied your shahada. And that's something else. And the reason why I keep badgering you guys about this voting, because so many of you did it, and this is haram. Y'all listened to those Sufi brothers, these weak Muslims in America, these weak men who are more female than they are male. Y'all let these weak men cause you to transgress Allah's laws. Okay? Y'all can't be that lame and stupid no more. Allah didn't make no mistakes. He knows what's best for us. He knows what's just, what's good. No one can overrule Allah. No one knows better than Allah. So when we violate Allah's laws and do stuff like change His laws, change the rules, we're basically saying that Allah don't know nothing, that He is not Hu Akbar. You're basically saying Allah is not El Akbar. You're saying that man is El Akbar. You're saying that the LGBTQ, because a lot of y'all voted for the rainbow team. Y'all voted for those homosexuals. So now gay is better than Allah. Y'all can't make these type of mistakes anymore. We as a nation cannot make these keep making big mistakes like this. As a nation, as a ummah, we cannot continue to deny Allah's names, to deny Allah his attributes and think that there will not be repercussions. Okay. What about this question? True or false? And explain your answer. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had no enemies and he was loved by everyone. He had no enemies and he was loved by everyone. What do you say about that? I just heard a Muslim say that. I was listening to the same person who gave that lecture on the internet. He also made the statement, we should try to be more like the Prophet. He had no enemies. Everybody loved him. Is that true? Why or why not? Why would you say it's true, or why would you say it's not true? Anyone? I want y'all
It's
to...
false. And the reason why is because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was coming in and changing the things that the people of Quraysh was and what they knew. So he had enemies. He had enemies from amongst his family and amongst the people that was in the Quraysh in general. He had his uncle Abu Lahab. He had
Okay, you gave Dalil. That's your Dalil.
Okay.
Good job. Perfect. But now that's her Dalil. That's the evidence to the answer. Give me the answer. Why is it that a prophet would have enemies? Related to our topic. Why is it stupid to think that he wouldn't have enemies? Related to this whole topic. Who are the awliya? How does it relate, Mina? Why would it be stupid to think that he had no enemies and everybody loved him? What's the name of this class?
Okay, so it would be stupid because just to think that everyone loved him, because like I had said before, they already was worshiping all kind of different things, and the law and the prophet was telling the truth to only believe into Allah, and that was actually changing everything.
Yeah, that's still your Dalil. So
okay.
why? You got all this beautiful Dalil. Come on, guys, help her out. Why would it be foolish to think that everybody loved all the, let's just say any prophet? Why would it be stupid to think that no prophet had enemies? Y'all can't figure it out? What's our topic? What's the name of this class?
Because they had allies of, those people were allies of Shaytan.
Exactly. I'm trying to get y'all to stay focused. To think, exactly. The prophets of Allah, they were the allies of Allah. They were people who believed in Allah. They were people who worship him correctly. They enjoin the good. They forbid the evil. They called the people to Allah, his laws, his commands over theirs. Just as Allah has allies, who else has allies? Shaytan. Who are the allies of Shaytan, Mina?
The people who don't believe in Allah.
And come on, guys, what are the characteristics of the allies of Shaytan? This whole series. Come on.
The ones who do not obey Allah
Exactly.
and his commands.
Exactly. The allies of Shaytan are those people who, number one, don't believe in Allah. Number two, they commit what?
They commit sins.
They commit sins. Exactly. They follow their desires. So to think that any of the prophets, that none of the prophets had enemies, you're crazy. Because their enemies was Iblis and his followers. And Iblis has soldiers amongst the jinn and humans. So every prophet of Allah had enemies. And this is an important point that I want you parents to put into your children's heart, because your children are not going to have that many friends. When the people tease your kids, they make fun of your kids, you have to tell them they made fun of the Prophet Muhammad. They made fun of Moses. They made fun of Noah. They made fun of Abraham alayhi salam. They even teased Solomon. They tried to make fun of David. The allies of Shaytan will always hate you. The allies of Shaytan will always be your enemy. The allies of Shaytan will never be happy until they see you. Until they see you. Until they see you doing what they do. The Prophet Muhammad had a lot of enemies. So did Moses. So did Jesus. They still got enemies. The Prophet Muhammad has enemies today. Jesus has enemies today. Do y'all understand? So I want y'all to get the point. Islam is not just a religion. Islam is a beautiful way of life that has been outlined and perfected for us by Allah. Allah set the laws. Allah set the rules. Allah set the guidelines to everything. The new Shahada sister who came to me Friday, her first time coming to our website, ain't been Muslim but for 2 months. What happened to her? She converted to Islam, and somebody ran that game on her about marriage is half your religion. So she believed it. She believed that if she married this old man who she didn't know, she ain't but 26 years old. 26 years old. I keep thinking of my grandkids. 26 years old, married some 50-something-year-old loser who got 3 other wives. He told her, if you marry me, 50% of your religion of Islam is going to fall into you. She believed it. New Shahada, they all believe it. She married him. What'd he do? She said she would see him 3 times a week. He'd only come at night. He'd have his way with her, and then he'd leave. He never ate with her, never asked her about herself, never spent time with her. So thank God she joined the Reddit group, and the Muslims on the Reddit group sent her to me on Friday. And y'all heard me answer her questions about, and she came for the polygamy class. And I told her, that's not polygamy. That's not Islam. That's a man abusing you, oppressing you. But alhamdulillah, we met her Friday here at Sunnahfollowers. She's in Philadelphia. Thank God I know a good imam. Egyptian. Sorry, brothers, no African American here. I sent her to the Egyptian sheikh. He gave her a kula instantly. And her marriage wasn't even valid. A prayer rug that she never received. What was her dowry? A prayer rug that she never even received. We have to be careful because the allies of Shaytan are out there, guys. We can't be duped into thinking that all Muslims are good. We can't be duped into thinking that because a brother got a beard and can read the Quran to you. We're going to talk about that tonight because one of the most beautiful ayats of the Quran was revealed to us through Shaitan's allies. Shaitan know that Quran better than any of us probably. So we cannot be duped. You got to learn this deen.
You got to learn this deen. The allies of Shaytan are everywhere. They're in our masjids. They're in the schools. They're in our workplace. They're our neighbors. Some of them are our children. Some of them are our brothers and sisters and family members. Shaytan has more allies than Allah does. What did the Prophet Muhammad say? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Out of every 1,000 people, 999 are going to hell. Now that's a lot of allies of Shaitan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. The sister here is typing. I don't know if y'all can see her typing. She said she's typing, "Thank you, Sister Layla. That was a hell life for me." She said, "I was about to apostate, but alhamdulillah, thanks to Sandra." Oh, yes, yeah, Sandra. She said, "Thanks to Sandra for guiding me to your classes." She said, "And the Imam gave me my divorce, and I'm going to be a part of his community. His wife is teaching me how to pray, and I am participating in their sisterhood activities. And I promised him I would stay with your classes." Yeah, he's a good imam. I don't know him personally, but I knew he knew my brother. That's how I was able to refer you to him. And I talked to him yesterday on the phone. He's Egyptian, like me. Walk like an Egyptian. So alhamdulillah, he took care of that for you. Yeah. Yeah, but alhamdulillah, her case worked out good. But how many other new Shahada women? How many other new Shahada women are in situations like her? A mattress, thinking that knowledge of Islam is gonna fall into their heart. Boy, that hadith, I did a series on that too, guys. Didn't we do a Ask Sister Layla live show about that? People taking that hadith out of context. That hadith has nothing to do with knowledge of Islam. That hadith is talking about if you got a problem with sex, if you got a problem with your private parts. The Prophet said the two main reasons why the majority of the people will be in hell is because they couldn't control their tongue and they couldn't control their private parts. If you're a person that has a problem with sex, get married. That will take care of the private part, and you can focus on your tongue. That's what that hadith means. That hadith has nothing to do with knowledge. You're not going to learn this religion unless you sit down with the people of knowledge and learn it. Allah doesn't just bestow knowledge from the sky into your head. That's ignorance. But that's how these brothers will play these new sisters. They will play on these new sisters, like this old 50-something-year-old loser played on that 26-year-old baby. I consider her a baby. You better leave these young girls alone, you old washed-up men. Subhanallah. All right, so Shaitan has his allies just as Allah has his. And we talked yesterday about how Shaitan uses trickery. Allah uses miracles to inspire and aid his allies. And Allah has given Iblis the authority to use deceit. And how does Shaitan help his allies? He has help from the jinn, the unseen world, the jinn. And let me talk about this for a second. A lot of you will hear Muslims talk about the good jinn. Let me just make this short right quick. If there are any good jinn, which there are, you will never have a good jinn hanging around you. Why? Because Allah commanded all the jinn to stay away from humans. Because when they come around us, the desire to hurt us is there. So Allah commanded the jinn to stay away from humans. They live amongst us, but they live on the outskirts of us. So if you got jinn hanging around you, they are not good jinn. The good jinn obey Allah. They may walk past my house. It's after my crib where I'm at. They may have walked past my house. They may hear me speaking. They may be sitting outside. There may be some good jinn sitting outside in the woods. I got woods behind me. Because again, the good jinn are not going to come near you and me because they obey Allah. But the jinn live in the woods. There's woods right next to me. There might be some good jinn sitting there out in the woods listening to me talk because my voice is loud. But are they going to come in my house? No. If there's any jinn in my house, it's evil. Y'all understand that? The angels are the protectors over humans, not the jinn. You will hear some mystic Sufis. They'll sit there and tell you, oh, but the jinn can help us. Who said that? No, we call upon Allah for help. And Allah tells us that the angels are his soldiers, not the jinn. If Allah wanted to send help, he would send the angels of mercy to help you. He's not going to send no jinn. Because again, he commanded the jinn to stay away from us because the temptation to hurt us is so great upon them. So let's not get it twisted. Ain't no good jinn, no Muslim jinn sitting around you or me. If you got jinn around you, they evil. And the fact that you think that they good shows that they are evil. Because you don't know, you don't have your Aqidah together. And they only prey upon those who are weak. Allah says it in the Quran, the jinn play upon those who are weak in their knowledge of this religion, weak in their practice. If you practice in your deen and you know your deen, you ain't got to fear no stinking jinn. They run away from you because all you got to do is say one word, Allah, any jinn around is gone. If I sit here and say, Allahu Akbar, the jinn in my heart goes and sits down in the corner. Allah, they gone. That's how weak they are. Good jinn too. Allah, they gone. Because it'll remind them, uh-oh, Allah said stay away. So we too close. Let's move back into the woods a little bit more. Allah, I just said, Allah, if there's any good jinn outside my house, he's going to move back some more. Oh my God, I don't want Allah's anger on me. So y'all got to stop listening to those Sufis, mystics on YouTube about this jinn crap. Okay? Learn your deen the correct way. The jinns are not the protectors over us. Allah tells us he's our protector. And he sends the angels of mercy. Y'all got that? Hello. Okay. I have to be like that because I got a lot of African students here. And that's one of the things about my students. Most of my students are from Africa, different parts of Africa. And I'm telling you, they put too much emphasis on that jinn stuff, man. Drives me insane. Okay, so Shaytan. He uses the unseen, the evil jinn to help him to do whatever dirt or to do whatever filth that he wants to do to us. And Allah allows him to do that. And we have the story And the famous hadith that I'm sure you guys have heard of, we talked about it before, of Ibn Sayyad. Ibn Sayyad was a young boy who lived during the time of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when the Prophet had told the companions about the signs of the last hour, some of the companions thought that he was the Antichrist. And so the Prophet went to check out this little boy to see what he was. And so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had asked him questions to see what he knew. And from his questioning, the Prophet told him, you are not the Antichrist. He said, you're not the Antichrist. Instead, you're one of the awliya of Shaytan. You're one of the allies of Shaytan. Your personal jinn has taken control of you. Your personal jinn is telling you things, but you are not the Antichrist. So Shaytan, he gets to us through our personal jinns. Our personal jinns are awliya or allies of him. And also Shaytan, remember we talked about how Allah says in the Quran that Shaytan descends upon any of us who indulge in evil. When you commit sins, when you disobey Allah, that's when Shaytan and his denizens will descend upon you. And he will help you. He helps the fortune tellers. And he helps the magicians. By spying, the jinn will go and sit down underneath the lowest heaven and spy on the conversations that Allah has with the angels and the angels have with each other. And then those jinn will come back and tell it to the magician, tell it to the sorcerer's jinn, the psychic's jinn, the fortune teller's jinn. And in turn, that fortune teller will tell you what they heard. Let me give an example. How many of you watched that TV show called The Long Beach Psychic Lady? She's real famous, blonde hair lady. I think her and her husband got divorced. You know, it happens. I think her and old man got divorced. But that Long Beach Psychic lady, if y'all ever watch her, when the people come to her and ask them a question, what does she do? I'm getting ready to imitate her. She does this. She licks her lips and she holds her head to the left side of her shoulder and she goes, she said, hold it. Then she'll say, hold it. Wait, I'm hearing it. Wait. She puts her head to the shoulder and she's talking to her. She's listening to her jinn. Her evil jinn is telling her because her evil jinn has spoken to your jinn. Your jinn is telling her jinn, you know, her mother died when she was 6 years old. So she'll say, hold on. Oh, your mother died when you were 6. Then your jinn will say, her husband just left her. Then she'll say, you just experienced your husband leaving you. That woman gets all her information from her jinn, who is getting it from your jinn. So that's how the allies of Shaytan receive their knowledge. They communicate with each other, or they'll spy on what the angels are saying, and they'll come and tell the psychic, you know, it's going to be an earthquake in March. So the psychic could say, hold it. They'll turn their head to the side. There's going to be an earthquake. So that's the way Shaytan helps his allies. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. Verily, the angels descend to the clouds, and they mention what has been decreed. And the evil devils, they come and steal what they hear, and they pass it on to the sorcerers. And they lie along with it, 100 lies from themselves. So they'll mix truth with falsehood. And that's the way your personal jinn does too. Your personal jinn will tell that psychic person's jinn all about you, and he'll throw some lies in it too. And that's how they sit there and tell your fortune. And that's how you wonder, well, how does she know my mother died? How does she know I got a divorce? How does she know I fell down and broke my hip when I was 10? Your jinn. We also have a hadith, whereas once the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting with his companions and they saw a falling star. Whenever you see a comet or a falling star, that's Allah knocking the evil jinn away from eavesdropping. Okay, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had told the companions that too. When you see a falling star, a shooting star, you know, you think that that's happening because somebody great has died. The Prophet said, but that's not what's going on. The devils are trying to listen and eavesdrop on the conversations of the angels. So Allah will throw meteors at them. He will throw those meteors at them to knock them down. So whenever you see a falling star, that's Allah tossing a meteorite to knock the jinn down from eavesdropping on the conversations. Okay? So that's how the allies of Shaytan get their information. And we have many examples throughout the history of Islam and even today of Shaytan helping his allies, making them think that he's doing miracles when it's really trickery and deceit. For example, Mukhtar, inshallah, is going to talk about this. There was a man named El-Ansi. El-Ansi, he claimed to be a prophet of Allah. When the Muslims fought him, they were afraid the devils would tell him of what they were saying about him. In fact, Mukhtar did give y'all this story. Remember, we talked about the man who thought he was a prophet. His wife helped the Muslims to overpower him. Remember, his wife set him up so that the Muslims were able to overpower him and kill him. Okay, this was El-Ansi. Azwad El-Ansi. He received his help from the denizens of Shaytan. The jinn would help him. They would tell him what was going on with the Muslims and all of that. Also, you guys learned about Musaylama. He also claimed to be a prophet of Allah. And of course, he wasn't. And he too said that the devils, the jinn, had told him. He had his own Quran, that the jinn had revealed verses and revelations to him. You know, so Iblis has always helped his allies. Also, during the time of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, there was a man that claimed to be a prophet too. You're going to learn about that in the class with Mukhtar too. His devil used to take his feet out of the leg irons whenever he was captured. This man would be captured by the Muslims, and they go back to get to kill him the next day, and he would be gone because his personal jinn was able to, free him. However, and then when they tried to kill him, they could never kill him. Until one day they told Abdul Malik, and he said, say Bismillah, and then you'll be able to kill him. And when they said Bismillah, that's when their spear penetrated him. Again, the jinn, they're weak. All you have to do is mention Allah and they run away. And that's what happened with this man. This man couldn't be killed until they mentioned Allah's name. Then that's when his jinn wasn't there to save him, and they were able to destroy him. So that's the type of trickery that Shaytan uses. And like I told you guys, we talked about Ayat Kursi. You guys know the story of Abu Huraira. May Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had appointed Abu Huraira to guard the zakat. And a man came and kept stealing the zakat money. And then finally, Abu Huraira was going to take him as a prisoner. And the man told him, if you let me go, I'll tell you some words that'll be of benefit to you. When you go to bed, recite these words, which was Ayat Kursi. He said, and Allah's protection will be with you until Fajr. No jinn, no evil person, no evil jinn can harm you until Fajr. That came from Iblis. That came from Iblis. So Shaytan helps his allies with trickery. But he eventually will lead them to themselves. Just like he did the Battle of Badr. Just like he did at the Battle of Uhud, the Battle of the Ditch. Shaytan will make promises to his allies, but eventually he will lead them to themselves. Okay? Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of meaning. Say, that which my Lord has forbidden is none other than despicable actions, both hidden and seen. He has also forbidden sin. He's also forbidden transgression with no justification. He is also forbidden to associate as partners with Allah that which Allah has sent no authority for you to do. And he has forbidden for you to say about Allah those things that you don't know. And that's the main difference between the allies of Allah and the allies of Shaitan. Just like Musaylama, when he called himself reciting his Quran, his words made no sense. He was talking about frogs and butterflies and lizards, and it made no sense. Whereas the things that the allies of Allah says make sense because it's based on what Allah said. So we have to be careful, guys, to not speak about this religion without knowledge. We have to be careful, guys, to not be duped into believing that all people are good, that the allies of Shaitan are just the jinn and not human, because there's human allies too. Remember, Shaitan's army consists of men and jinn. How many of you go to a masjid and you see the brothers sitting in a circle, whistling, beating on drums, and then all of a sudden they'll stand up and start twirling around in a circle, and then smoke will appear underneath their feet, and it'll look like those men are floating in the sky. These are the allies of Shaitan. And remember, we talked about how there are certain things that if we do, they will trigger a response from Shaitan. Music and whistling is one of them. And that music includes the drum. It's haram to play the drums, guys. It's haram. All that stuff stirs up your jinn, and your jinn will call out to the other jinns to bring it on. Okay? So when you join those dhikr circles, and you got men playing bongos and drums and tambourines and whistling and singing and all that crap, and they'll tell you that they're getting in touch with the spirit of Allah. No, they're in touch with the spirit of Shaitan. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. And that's what when Shaitan will appear and make smoke happen, and it'll look like these brothers are floating in the sky when they ain't. Okay? Also, sometimes if you're a person that's committing sins, you drink, you smoke, you fornicate, And then you go to sleep, and a man will appear to you in your sleep saying that he's the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he knows that you're committing sin, but it's okay. You're only human. And you wake up thinking, oh, the prophet, felt bad for me. The prophet said he's going to talk to Allah for me. First of all, that would never happen. But there's a lot of Muslims that happens too, and they believe that that's really the prophet. Well, this is Shaytan. Because one of the things too, Shaytan and his allies, the jinn, they can take on the appearance of dead relatives. Ghosts are real. They can take on the appearance of dead relatives. That's why you should not have pictures of your family hanging around on display in your house. Pictures of your kids, pictures of your wives, your husbands, your uncles, your aunts. Because if the Shaytan want to really hurt you, they can take on the appearance of your relative and come to you in your sleep and tell you that they're your relative, bringing you good news from the other side. Ghosts do exist. Ghosts are jinns. Ghosts are jinns who have taken on the appearance of someone and come to you. Okay? So that's another way that Shaytan will help his allies. He'll take on the appearance of people that they respect in their dreams and make them think that these people are forgiving them of their sins, that these people are praying for them, and all this that will encourage them to continue to sin instead of repenting. So we have to be careful of that. All right? We talked about Joan of Arc. We've talked about so many people in history who have claimed that they have looked up in the sky and they've seen a man sitting on a chair or sitting on a throne telling them that I am your Lord. This happens all the time, not just with Joan of Arc. Just recently, I was looking at and watching that CNN news, and they had a story 2 weeks ago about some old man who said he was sitting outside watering his yard, and a man appeared in the sky and told him that the day of judgment is going to happen January 1st, 2025. Oh, yeah. It was all in the news. Judgment Day is coming January 1st. He said, I swear it, I saw a man sitting in a chair. He said he was God Jesus. He was God Jesus. And that Judgment Day will be January 1st. So it happens all the time. The devils can take on appearances like that, and they can have you think that they are Allah himself communicating to you. Also, some people, how many of you have heard voices? And I'm not talking about the people that's sick or that's schizophrenic. How many of you, you're sitting at home on your computer doing work and you hear somebody calling your name and you look around? It sounds like it's coming from outside. Somebody's calling your name. Oh yeah, the jinn can do that. They can do that too. And they can say, oh, I'm so proud of you. You don't have to wear hijab. I'm proud of you. Making you think that it's Allah talking to you. So this stuff happens, guys, all the time. That's the type of trickery. The type of trickery and deceit that Shaytan uses. You can be asleep. A man will appear before you and say, I am Abu Bakr, and I have come to you, and I'm telling you to shave your beard, shave your hair. I am Aisha coming to you, telling you that you don't have to pray no more. So all of this stuff happens, guys. I mean, that's the type of crap that Shaytan uses. And if you're a person that doesn't understand this religion correctly, if your aqidah is already messed up, you're not praying, you're not fasting, you're not fulfilling your obligations, you know, they will really play upon you. Because Shaytan doesn't want you to learn this deen. Shaytan doesn't want you to practice this deen. So we have to be surrounded by Muslims who do practice. Okay, so that's some of the trickery that Shaytan uses with his allies.